Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Bike Radio. If you are new to the channel, on Tuesday we have interviews with other coaches, professional riders, Olympians, Grand Tour riders, people that are just dropping knowledge about their training. And then on Thursday, Bike Radio or shorter videos that hopefully have a lesson or two that hit home in 10 minutes or less. I don't want to waste your time with an hour-long podcast about just small topics. So sometimes these are just thoughts from athletes, just tips that hopefully can help you find a way to craft your training together in a more optimized and better way and move forward with your day and get a little bit faster. So in this video, I want to talk about your training 4 weeks out from a big event, lifting during the season. This is a lot of anecdotal stuff that I've been fiddling with this year to make sure I'm still keeping my strength up while being able to hit the intervals that I want to hit and the hard rides. Coming back into the topic, sugar water recipes. And this is actually going to be part of a second video. And this is all stemmed from Landry's going straight sugar. And you've heard people talking on the podcast now, pros doing do-it-yourself drink mixes. Talk about direct communication, and I'll get more into that, and pre-race visualization. And then maybe if I remember, I'll talk about why there's animals on the t-shirts. End of the day, I don't want another bike shirt with a cassette or a chain, and the duck thing happened a while ago, but we'll get into that later. So I want to hit you with the most important content first. Guy said to me, hey, what do I have to do to get ready for BWR? The event was 4 weeks away from when he asked this question. If you think that you're going to make major changes to your performance in 4 weeks, that's just not how endurance sports work. There are well-respected physiologists and coaches, like a guy like Alan Cousins that I follow on Twitter, who's from Colorado, and he says the hay is in the barn for the whole season. Like when you start your season, the season's set. And what he's saying, maybe that's a little on the extreme for what some coaches talk about, but these changes that we're making take years, and to become your truly best self as an endurance athlete takes a decade of time. That's why I always say, if you are 3 years into training, you are still so new. And that's not a knock. That should be motivating to you. You have so much room to grow. I have been training 170,000 miles on the road, and I'm still finding ways to get faster. That's not a brag. That should be motivating to you. So 4 weeks out, you're not changing a ton. You're still training up until the event. You're staying sharp. You might be doing a taper if it's your A race. We have a ton of different videos on that, but I just want to bring this up because you're not going to change a lot in 4 weeks. Lifting during the season. We have a lot of videos. I am a big believer in lifting heavy. I'm going to do a video with Landry because he has a master's degree in this specific area. A lot covered strength and conditioning. What is actually happening when we're lifting? Talking about, are you recruiting more motor units? Are you creating more motor units? What's actually happening to the muscle? So that's going to be more the science type video. But for this, when I get into season, I've always cut down my lifting frequency. So instead of going to the gym 3 times a week, that's definitely not happening. Sometimes I do 2. If it's a race week, I might do 1. Or I might do 1 and have a secondary lift day that's just nowhere near as heavy. Let's say I lift 20,000 pounds. I track with the Strong app in a normal lift session. I might only do 9 or 10,000. And what is that 9 or 10,000 come up? How do I get to that 9 or 10,000? I might do, instead of a 5x5 or a 6x3, I might just go do 4 sets of 3 reps, making sure there's no burn. I'm not creating massive tears in my muscles, like when you break down your muscle from lifting, but just keeping the lifting sensations going. And the weight I'll also cut. Say if I was maybe deadlifting high 200s, I might only deadlift 200 pounds. So cutting the big lifts down, and then also my secondary and tertiary lifts, whether I'm doing, lunges with weights or step ups. If I'm doing 10 reps of those, usually when I'm trying to build strength, I might do 5. And again, just to keep everything fluid, and I know that's keep fluid. What the hell does that mean? I can just feel when I've lifted, and I feel that on the bike, and I want to have those sensations as I go into the racing. Okay, sugar water. An athlete asked in the comments last time, what is my exact recipe? So as of right now, I'm doing 70 to 75 grams in a 20-ounce bottle. I put 1.5 grams of salt in when it's very hot because that's 600 milligrams of sodium. I'm a big guy. I do sweat a lot. If it's not super hot, I might dial back to 1 gram of salt, which is 400 grams of sodium. I use Himalayan pink salt. Landry does more sugar in the bottle and brings just one bottle, so it's almost like a bottle of a gel mix. He does, I believe, 200 grams in a 20-ounce bottle, sips that, and then has water in his other bottles. Now, I tried this, and I'm going to put this in a different video on a 7-hour gravel ride because I had a camelback full of water. I was only able to carry 2 bottles then. I usually carry 3 on every ride. I'll let you know how that went down, what I liked, what I didn't like. And sometimes I do only put mix in 2 bottles, and I'll start with 1. There have been some talkings, and I don't think there's a lot of data or studies on this, talking about how as we start riding, it takes some time for the fat oxidation to get going, and you don't want to just bombard your body with carbohydrates right away. I had asked at the Training Peaks University, they had a summit that I was at. This was pre-COVID, 2018. And there was a big drink manufacturer there, and I had asked them about this, and they said, hey, we've never heard about this. We're not really sure. And so I was wondering, maybe do we just drink water for the first 30 minutes to make sure we get everything kind of going and then bring the carbs on board? You know, it's never seemed to hurt me, and I've never seemed like I had more fuel later in the ride if I started carbs right at minute 0 or if I waited 30 to 45 minutes. So maybe bring a bottle of water and experiment with that and try to just ride the first 30 minutes with nothing and then start fueling more. But the only thing that I worry about is people who are chronic underfuelers. That's going to have them underfueling even more. And if it's super hot out, you need electrolytes first. So there's a lot of nuance to that. Now, this is a quick segue to something that an athlete who I've coached for a while, who is finally fueling the rides. You as the athlete, you have to own your training. There's only so much your coach can tell you and how many times we can tell you to do this. And it's like, if I put lifts in and people keep skipping them, I stop putting them in there because it's like, hey, do you want to do this? Yes. I put them in. You don't do that. Your actions tell me what you actually want to do. So I can't always be saying 90 grams of carbs an hour, 120 grams on a big day, da-da-da-da. I want to read this to you because it's super important. I've increased the amount of carbs I take in, and nutrition is something that sounds so simple and intuitive. However, I do find it hard to get the details right. During events, I do have a tendency to err on the side of caution and aim for that 100 plus carbs per hour. I have been doing the opposite during training. I keep things around 60 for sessions lasting 3 hours or less. I am not entirely sure why. Perhaps I thought I was already carrying enough on me and I only needed some to top off. He's talking about the glycogen in his system. Or perhaps unconsciously, the cost of these things. For this ride, I tried the sugar water recipe and I did mix in some maltodextrin and sugar, which was over 90 grams per bottle in 3 bottles plus 3 bars. My legs did not feel as heavy as earlier in the week, and I could manage tempo intervals just fine later in the ride. So this is so important because even if you feel okay on 60 grams of carbs, you are depleting your glycogen stores, which now means it's going to take 12 to 48 hours to fully restore that. So even if in 2 days you have another hard ride coming up, or as athletes realize, tempo is not super easy. It's not a cakewalk. It's not a mail-in ride. You want to have enough carbohydrate. And I understand there's people that don't want to carb load and they don't want to freak out about carbs. I'm with you on that. I think you can definitely overdo the carbs, especially if you're not used to it. But taking in 180 grams of carbs, this guy is a bigger rider, even if you're smaller, on a 3-hour ride is not enough. So if you're at 60, try 80. Just 20 more. It's like one more gel if you take gels. It's one more sip of the maple flask. It's not this mega change I'm asking you to make. I'm just recommending try something. It's fuel. You are burning it. You are like a vehicle going down the road that needs gas. Let's do that. Really basic point here on another topic. There are no dumb questions. do not feel, I have asked every dumb question. I started riding and I asked, why doesn't the green jersey go for the yellow jersey? I didn't understand the difference in rider physiologies. I didn't know what a carb versus fat versus protein, like I knew what they were, but I didn't know how they applied to sports. If you feel like you are in a position where you cannot ask dumb questions, then you need to come into what we're talking about here. Like, get in the Discord. It is the most welcoming community of people. I think there's 600 athletes in there right now. And trust me, if you scroll through, you will see a lot of newbie questions. You will see a lot of advanced questions. You will see there's some threads of guys talking about some intense, there's a TTE block under the training. Shout out to you guys in that block. I see you. And sometimes an athlete once said, hey man, you don't really chime in. Dude, when people are rolling, you don't have to hear from me all the time. This is the community. And so when there's people giving great answers, I'm not going to come over the top of somebody and just type something to type something. So don't think I'm not watching what you guys are talking about. I appreciate the people, the stalwarts that are in there. And we have something coming for the Discord fam that knows what's up for the day ones. I've promised you something. We are getting it together, and I think it's going to be sick. So direct communication with your coach or training buddy is really beneficial to you because for coaches like me with a little baby brain, it helps us. I had an athlete who said, hey, I need to hit it hard Monday through Thursday, but I'm traveling Thursday through Sunday. But I could ride Sunday, probably can't ride Thursday. And Wednesday I might have a meeting at night. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, what does the meeting mean? Does that mean you're going to ride in the morning? Does that mean you're not riding at all? What does hit it hard mean? And really, if you parse that out, all he needed to say was, hey, I can't ride Friday or Saturday because those are the 2 days that he's gone, but he can ride Sunday and he can ride Thursday, even though he's traveling. Be super direct. Make it in the most direct way because the less time people take to understand what you're saying, if it's to your coach, that's the more time they're spending planning and analyzing and doing the important things. So I just want to make that point to say direct communication helps the other person help you more. And that's why you would want to do that. And then the last thing, new athlete, or I should say new racer, talking about pre-race nerves, couple days out, day of the race, that's okay. And that's normal. And I think a few nerves are good because when I was going into a big surgery for work and I was super nervous and a guy said to me, hey man, it's game time. Pre-race nerves just mean you're on the ball because you're probably thinking about a lot of things. Get focused, control what you can control, and use those nerves to just stay on top of the little details. If you have nerves, you're going to, just try and calm your brain, but at the same time, thinking about things, you make sure you have all the T's crossed, the I's dotted. That's totally normal. One thing I would do to add to your pre-race nerves though, get a little visualization going. Visualize yourself, convince yourself that you are going to have a great day. You're going to have a great race. And the reason I would recommend trying this out is because there's going to be a day when you wake up and everything's not going to be clicking and maybe you didn't get the best night's sleep and you spilled the coffee and you're getting the bread and you're like, dude, this is a bad start to the morning. If you have started to visualize things going well, say, hey, hold up. Okay, I'm going to go ride my bike. I'm going to give it my all. Here I go. And it just can reset the tone of a whack morning. And that's really important. And then I think visualize yourself winning. If you're going to a race where you have a chance to win, like the slimmest chance, like 1 out of 100, maybe you're doing your openers, just imagine yourself crossing the line first. If you can start to convince your brain before the race starts that you have a shot, when things get really hard, I promise you, you will perform better. This brain is crazy. Everyone's brain controls so much of our performance. We're going to learn more and more about this as years go down the line. We've already seen a lot of breakthroughs. If you look into studies about what the mental side of sports is, use that to your advantage. Guys, thanks for watching. Ladies, thanks for watching. Please share the podcast. Please share the video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and also turn on notifications so you don't miss the next amazing interview. We have some awesome guests lined up. I'm so stoked. And the reason I want you to subscribe, the bigger this channel gets, the better guests we have. We've had Olympians, we've had Grand Tour riders. I'm getting other ridiculously amazing coaches on here, but it helps if they see a larger number of people, a bigger audience, we get more people. I want them so I can learn from them. We can all learn from them. Let's go. Oh, and the last thing, we had the duck thing going. It's a flock. It was a t-shirt that we made because it mimicked a Drake album cover. That's the multi-duck one. And then I said, hey, Florida, the gator, let's put a gator on there. And EVOQ bike, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're not doing anything crazy, but I just don't want to put like a bike cassette. Maybe we'll put mountains on one. But I just think the cliche bike stuff doesn't always need to be on a t-shirt. And I don't know. I'm rocking it. And the last thing my mom said, you're wearing the same shirt very often. So I was adamant that the print quality would be amazing on these. So I have a lot of demos. So don't worry. When you see me in the same shirt, it's not the same shirt. I am washing my clothes. Mama, love you. Let's get faster. Let's go, people. Bike Radio. See ya.